Turn me up. This is
coming to you from the heart of the Pacific, brought to you by Paulie by Design.
respected at all times.
Broadcasting from San Francisco, California, the city by the bay.
It's about to go down.
We shine on positive Pacific Islander role models every Sunday.
Party on a Sunday.
From 10 a.m. to noon, it's time for the iconic Faika podcast with your hosts,
Listening to
Naki and Carl.
What's up, Naki?
What's up, Carl?
Here we go. Season 5, episode 36. Pay the bills early. Today's program is brought to you in partnership with Vaccinate All 58 and the Center at Sierra Health Foundation. We're going to have some information from them later in the show. Today, we're going to talk about UFC 264. All kind of goings on there. We had two Pacific Islanders fight on the undercard, and then we had the first packed house live event for the UFC since COVID-19 hit. It was the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and the notorious Conor McGregor rode it till the wheels fell off. They fell off at the end of round one.
They literally fell off.
So we will talk about that. We're going to talk about our community events and our check-ins. That's our show. And then in the second half, we are going to have Brown Girl Woke, Doris Tulifau, in studio, and possibly a second mystery ghost guest. So that's our show today. Naki, what's good?
Good morning. Let's see. Today is Sunday. Okay, got it. Like we're on all the time.
I know.
I don't know what day it is pretty much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having Doris in the studio, Brown Girl Woke. And the fight so yesterday, well, let's start from Friday. Friday, I was feeling a little ill, and then I felt better by the afternoon. And so then
Sick?
I was sick.
Coughing,
Yeah.
sneezing, what kind of
I think it was all my allergies that were crazy. And then I had to double up on my asthma spray and my Benadryl, which usually knocks me out, but I was fine.
feeling good now?
Feeling good.
Completely 100% all gone, or just
100%.
like well, that's good.
Yeah, feeling 100%. So after I felt better, Doris is having a Brown Girl Woke, Maluseu, Doris Tulifau is having she's collecting items to take back to Samoa, and a lot of it is for the programs there, and school supplies and items that are needed in Samoa that they can't get easily.
It always makes me laugh with her, because most people, if they're going to go back to Samoa, they're going to pack 2 50-pound, their luggage. They're going to load their luggage with clothes and shoes and all those kind of things. So she packs up entire storage containers.
Yeah.
She packs shipping containers to go through international customs and get all the way over there to Samoa. So I don't know how she does it. She does it, just at a breakneck pace.
Right.
It's just like, hey, we're going to do this, and then rallies everybody,
Right.
and puts a fire under everybody. And when I saw the pictures, you're going to go through that, I was just shook my head and said, yep, that makes sense. It wouldn't make sense if it was anybody else but her.
Yeah, she's freaking amazing. When Doris comes to the States, comes back, she's go, and so I like working with people like that are just no bullshit and go do the work. And she's been heavy into doing community work, and really mostly working with the kids and women. So Friday we got a call. Well, Mo comes home, and he comes home Thursday or whatever day.
A day in the week.
Yeah. And he comes home and he says, hey, my work, I don't want to say his work's name, but he came home and he said his work has 3 pallets of cleaning supplies and, PPE, masks and
wipes and disinfectant.
Wipes
those kind of
and
things.
yes. And so he's like, and his boss asked him, do you know of a nonprofit organization that would need this stuff? God's timing is so good, because Doris is collecting items. And I said, yes, Brown Girl Woke is looking for supplies to take back to Samoa. And so he said, okay, I'll tell my boss. And then Friday, after I felt better, Mo and I rented a truck, went to Concord, picked up the stuff, and then we were meeting Doris in Oakland at the San Francisco Enterprise, which is a Tongan-owned business. They're a freight forwarder. San Francisco Enterprise is freight forwarding, and it's a Tongan-owned business. Felice Langi is the owner, which
That's
is amazing.
awesome.
It's crazy amazing, right? So we pick up the stuff, we get to Oakland, and I pull up, and my coworker Kazi, who I work with, his best friend, he's always telling me about his best friend that owns this shipping company. So we pull up to this place, and Doris is there, and Poe takes care of Brown Girl Woke San Francisco. So we pull up and we're talking and stuff, and Mo and Poe have to shrink wrap stuff because it was loose or whatever. So, and I see all these PIs pulling in, and I was like, where are we? Where are we? What is this place? And Poe said, a Tongan family owns this freight forwarding. And I was like, oh, damn. And, Kazi, who told me about his best friend. So, of course, I text Kazi and I'm like, I took a picture of the San Francisco Enterprise sign. And I said, does your friend own this place? He's like, yeah, that's them. So it was awesome that Doris not only is shipping a container of stuff filled of items that were donated that's going back to Samoa. I seen school supplies, toys for kids, just a lot of stuff that was donated. And when she gets in here, she's going to tell us about all the people that have donated. But it was awesome to see that she's still like, we work with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we always say shop Pacifica and support Pacifica. So it really touched my heart that when we pulled up, we were at a Tongan owned PI business. So that was amazing to me. Deja, good morning.
Good morning, Deja.
Beautiful Deja. Pacific Vibes, checking in on Facebook. Good morning, George DePlama.
It's all about connections.
Yes. Good morning, Vicky.
What a good time for him to tune in, because remember his thing is about making connections.
Making connections, and right.
Brown Girl Woke.
Brown Girl Woke used San Francisco Enterprises Freight Forwarding Company, which is owned by a PI family. So it was awesome to be there. So Mo and Poe and Doris and I, we wrap stuff because it's going into, actually it was leaving Saturday morning. So you had to get everything there by Friday so that they can pack it and load the container. So the timing was so right. It was meant to go to Samoa. And I felt so happy to help Sister Doris. So we did that. What else? Friday, I went karaoke singing with my sister and her husband and Mo. I needed a break.
What'd you sing?
We sang Faith Evans' Love Like This, but we were awful. Me and TT cannot sing for the life of us. So we were just...
But did you have fun?
It was horrible. Yeah, we had fun. And so Mo and Sarah were like the life of the bar, because all the time they got up to sing, people were cheering. And I was like, oh, Lord, Mo's going to get a big ass head. Bigger. And so
he loves him some singing.
He loves to sing. And so we went to this place in Fairfield, which is funny because it came up on my news feed on Instagram. And so so I was like, oh, close by. So that is the spot now. So I'm just telling you, that's the spot. So then we come home, we left, I don't know, about midnight, and we come home and Mo still wants to sing. So he whips out his speaker and microphone and he starts singing every song. I started to sing because I was brave, because I'm in my own house. So I'm singing all
Got
loud,
no crowd. I'm good.
offbeat. Like I can't sing for nothing. But Mo starts singing. Then I fell asleep on the couch, and then he wakes me up after he's done with his last song, because I could still kind of hear stuff going on. He wakes me up and he goes, hey, it's 4:00 in the morning. Let's go to sleep. I was like, dude, you've been singing since 4:00 in the morning.
Wow.
So yeah. So that I had a good time. I needed, like, we've been so crazy busy and I've been stressed out like crazy. So that was my release. And then yesterday was my nephew slash son, Noah Fiso, his birthday. He turned the big 20. And so we had dinner. We always have dinner for the kids' birthdays, the Fiso Moli house, which is my brother's house. And he had his favorites. So it was, we had, oh my gosh, it was so good. You had make your own tacos. And what else? Brown rice, Mexican rice, but it was made out of brown rice. And then what else? Oh my gosh, just really good stuff. Shrimp and steak and salad. And it was just, everything was delicious.
So was that what that's the tradition, right?
Yes.
You can have
whatever you want for your birthday. And so like one year for Mena's birthday, she wanted crab. And so Mode made his crab. And so it's whatever you want. That is what you get for your birthday.
And what kind of cake does Noah like?
Noah likes, we had chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream. So yeah. And usually my sister-in-law, Malia, makes the cake. And so a homemade cake. Yeah. So
you're not a cake person. Huh?
I'm not a cake person. I'm not a cake person. Lately, I'm an ice cream person. And so, yeah, that was my weekend, really. It was Noah's. Yeah, it was crazy. But our week has been crazy because we had Koviki talk. We had Tama on. Tamat Fatleava. He was nice enough to come on and speak about what's been going on with him and what he feels about the vaccine. And just, it was a really good show. We also had Rena Owen on.
That's what it was. We had an extra show.
Oh my God. She was amazing. She came on and she was just boom, boom, boom. She was talking about vaccination, COVID, how work has been. She's been crazy busy. She is an award-winning actress who took the time. Yeah, actress, director, writer, everything. She's everything rolled up to one. And she, most of all, amazing. She took the time to come on and talk to us. And so I'm so grateful for her time, as well as Tama, who's also busy. It was crazy amazing that she took time out for us. So she talked about being an entrepreneur, follow your passion, Big shout out to
Manu Malo Ala Ilima from Utopia PDX.
Yes.
Who made that connection. George Diploma in the house again. More connections being made between people. So thank you, Malo.
It was an amazing week because we've been talking. I'm just in awe of all the great people that we get to talk to and the connections that we've made. So yeah, that was my week. How about yours?
Oh, I don't think mine was nearly as packed as yours. We had all the PBD stuff. Mm-hmm. Notice it's not Poly by Design. It's PBD.
Yes.
We had all of those things going on. We had 4 shows: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
We ended up having a 4-day run. I don't know if that's our first, but that was tiring. By the time we got done with that, meeting all the incredible people and having those conversations, I was tired by the time we got towards the end of the week.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think on Saturday, yesterday, I ended up having lunch with Tama.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. So we went to, where did we go? We went to a place called the Roxy in Sacramento, and it ended up being a brunch place. So, you know me, I'm never going to complain if we have breakfast for lunch.
Yeah.
So we ended up
you love
out.
breakfast.
I love breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I have breakfast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But just sitting with Tama and how I, that waste no minutes thing.
Yes.
Just so thankful that he would, you had said that, like, I don't know that I'd be, like, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
And to me, it was, I was just grateful to have those minutes with him and, his knowledge of history and the language.
Oh, yeah.
And all those kind of things, just so in depth.
You can learn so much from him.
Yeah.
Just because.
I did. Yeah. And I did. I mean, we were at lunch, maybe hour and a half. We cut it a little bit short because China had gotten done early.
Nice.
She was doing a test or studying for a test. But of course, she finishes early. That family has got brains.
Mm-hmm.
and she called while we were we were pretty much done with lunch, but we probably would have sat there another 45 minutes. But but listening to him, I had asked, like, is he going to do the language and culture class again? Because there's a lot of different language classes out there, but there's not anything that's teaching the culture.
Yes.
That second hour of his class was culture.
I love that part.
Yeah. And that was a big part for a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, the language is good, but but you can go different places for the language.
Right.
The culture being taught in a classroom, was really that piece that took his instruction over the top. So I was really like, do you think you want to do the class again?
Yeah.
And I had originally looked at it like, it was disappointing that it had fallen through and he didn't get to continue it. And he's such a man of strong faith that his remark was, so many good things came out of that class.
Oh yeah.
Ty.
He got a daughter-in-law.
He got a daughter-in-law. We made the connection with him. So, the way that he had, he looked at it was the way that, it should be looked at. Like, it didn't go the way that he wanted to go.
Yeah. But a lot
great
of amazing
things came out of it. Things happened for us, not to us.
Yes.
And we had a lot of that discussion of, we don't know God's plan. Right. We don't know God's plan.
Right.
So it should be easier to live your life because we don't know what God's plan is. So if there's a hard left turn where you thought it was a hard right turn, it's part of the plan. Right. So you go with it. So there's that. And then, so originally we were going to meet for lunch on Friday and I got treatment on Friday. So I was thinking, I'll just have gotten the shot. I'll be okay. So Saturday, I was dead tired yesterday.
Oh, I know.
But
you're always tired after treatment.
Yeah. Yesterday and today
which is understandable.
They're tough, from an energy standpoint.
Yeah.
So meeting with Tama, after Tama, it was all UFC. It was completely, after I got done with lunch with him, I drove home. He brought bread.
Yeah. And Masi.
And Masi.
Yeah.
And
yay.
for both of us. So I brought yours. Today I ate like half of the loaf of the bread that he gave me. Like I ate way too much. And just dove into the UFC. And that's, there's our segue into our next topic.
Right.
We had two Pacific Islanders veteran Brad Tavares, who a lot of people sleep on. They don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He is ranked second all time in all time wins at the middleweight level in the UFC. He's third behind, I think, Bisping and Anderson Silva, two of the greatest of all time.
Right.
So he's in rare air with that. He fought a Russian Dagestani wrestler.
I was watching that fight.
And he had his hands going. He had the speed advantage.
Right.
He took advantage. It really opened up at the end. At the end of the fight, he really opened up and dominated the end of that round.
Yeah.
It was scary because there's some really shisty crap that goes on sometimes with the decisions. And when they read the first judge's card, it said 29-28 Ahmed.
I know.
You could see his face was like, he held his breath. I held his breath. I was like, oh crap, what are we doing here? And then the next two were 29-28 the right way.
Right.
There's no way Ahmed won 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, just not possible.
Like all the time the fights come up, especially, the ones that I'm interested in, you and I go back and forth. And so I was like, okay, it was a good fight. And you're like, he should have won all 3 rounds. Those judges are like, you were going in on the judges. And I was
horrible
like,
judge.
And I was watching the fight. He did really good. Like his, his balance or whatever, because the guy kept charging him and grabbed his leg and was trying to take him down. But he was just like backing up with one leg. And I was like, damn, that guy, he's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really good. Me and Mo were watching it during dinner at Pete's house, my brother's house. And then, the other fights, Noah came and sat with us. Well, everybody was like, shot. And Noah and Mo were watching the fights, and they were really good. And I feel sorry for the people. I mean, the fights were short, the ones that,
short.
They were really short. So it was a really good fight.
Yeah. Brad Tavares probably cracks back into the top 10. He's right on that fringe. He did go all 5 rounds with the current UFC middleweight champ, Israel Adesanya,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. Not a lot of people have been able to do that. So maybe you can leverage that back in. He's probably a couple wins away from peaking at a title shot.
Yeah.
But that's a good start. And that's a guy that nobody wants to fight. That guy he's a beast.
Yeah.
He just keeps coming forward. You could see Brad was lighting him up.
Right.
And that guy wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I
I was
eating
like,
it coming forward. Scary guy.
Yeah. His jaw was pretty solid. I was like, he'd get hit and I was all, and he wasn't even moving. Like I would jerk when he got punched and he didn't even move. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That guy, Tavares had a speed advantage with his feet. He can get in and out and his hands. So he utilized that. You could hear his corner telling him, hey, you can beat him down the middle.
Right. Right.
Don't
He
try
had
to-
a really nice tattoo. I think it's on
both. He's got
on
a
his
sleeve
leg.
and
Yeah.
an
And
opposite leg.
the opposite. I mean, all down his leg. I was like, ouch. Because I have one on my right leg, and it's not my whole leg, but that part, I just had like the whole, calf, one whole side, my whole right side of my leg. And that hurt like crazy. Like I thought I was going to die. So I couldn't imagine like the whole leg, like inside his leg, all the way around. And I always check out the tattoos of PI fighters, but we still Tyson Pedro's tattoo is still number one to me.
Best ink in the UFC.
Yes, the best ink. So,
and Tyson Pedro's training partner,
Right.
Tuivasa,
he
Bam
fought
Bam
yesterday.
I think he was the third from the
Top.
third from the top, third from the last fight. And so Bam Bam's had a rough go. He's had battles with addiction, with pain pills.
Right.
He had a surgery. He had a knee surgery. He had his arm was numb.
Yeah.
He had some adversity to go through, and then he had a few losses in the UFC.
Good,
and now he's back. He's way more fit.
right. He looks a lot better than previous fights. Right.
And I think that he kind of played up the image of I'm at the bar,
Right.
I'm at the barbecue,
Yeah.
kind of as the, I'm a
I think
normal,
so
I'm
too.
a funny guy,
Yeah.
and he may still be doing that, but it's
Right.
the maturity of he's coming in shape
Yeah.
and he's not doing those kind of things.
And he has a big social media following.
Huge. And it just got
Huge.
bigger last night.
Yeah.
And the guy he was fighting, Greg Hardy, I'm not a fan of Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
Greg
Nobody
Hardy has a
is.
domestic violence background. I don't know why he isn't part of, I don't know what you call it, the cancel culture.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that don't get any second chances. And this guy
is
being pushed and promoted by the UFC. I'm just not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't deal well with adversity. So
Right.
you saw both guys land big shots.
Yeah.
And Bam Bam ends up taking a step back, and he's doing the drunk walk.
Yeah.
Where he's shook,
Yeah.
and Hardy comes in for the kill, and there's where the heart comes in. He
Yeah,
comes
he
in for the kill, and Bam Bam fires back as he's closing in, and
Right.
he's closing in recklessly because he
Right.
thinks Ty's hurt.
You could see
He's coming in for the kill, and
Ty was
Ty
fighting all heart,
just
everything.
all heart,
Yeah.
instinct, threw it back, knocked him out, and that's where the fun began.
Right.
Once the fight was over,
Yeah.
he jumps up on the cage, and it was obviously planned
Yeah.
if he won because
Yeah.
somebody threw
Threw
him
him
a
a
shoe
shoe.
immediately and a beer,
Ugh.
and he empties the beer into the shoe
And
and does
drinks
the
it.
shoey from the top of the
So
octagon,
nasty.
which you knew was coming. You
That's
knew it was
crazy
coming,
to
but
me.
usually it's in the crowd.
Yeah. Well, he did it in the crowd
Did
too.
you
and
see
his-
in the crowd that guy
Oh.
filled up the shoe and then he dumped a bunch of
Oh.
hot sauce on top of it, and you could
and
tell
he drank it.
he didn't know that the hot sauce was in there because after he was like, oh, you could see his face, and he asked
Yeah.
the guy, "What'd you put in that?" To me, it was funny because he kind of just poured that one all over his face.
Right.
After he got the hot sauce in him, the next
Yeah.
shoey that he did, he drank that. Like,
Yeah.
you could tell his mouth was burning. He was like, "I'm glad to have some cold beer in my mouth."
It was awesome. It was a great fight that lasted 1 round, 1 minute and some
Yeah, maybe a
seconds.
minute and a half.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I mean, not even that long. So, it was a great fight. I was looking forward. That was one of the ones that I was looking forward to. And then again, the main card, which is
The main card,
Mhm.
the notorious Conor McGregor the guy. So a lot of people don't really understand this. The guy's won one fight in 5 years.
Yeah.
He is on the downslide of his career.
Yeah.
He's not the guy that knocked out Jose Aldo after Jose Aldo hadn't lost in 10 years.
Yeah.
He's not the guy that went up and won the lightweight championship, knocking out Eddie Alvarez. He's just not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And he got smashed by Dustin Poirier in their last fight. And this was going to be the fight,
Right.
So it was funny. There's a couple things ironic and funny about this. This was the fight to end the fight. You're not going to see Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor fight again after this one. This settles the trilogy.
Yeah.
That's not true. That comes out to be not true. They probably are going to fight again. Conor McGregor guarantees that Dustin Poirier is going to leave on a stretcher.
Right.
The fighter that left on a stretcher was Conor McGregor because of his broken leg.
Yeah.
I didn't see the leg break. I saw his face, and I didn't see it till the replay. And when he went down, he just covered up. And there's heart. Like, you just broke your leg, and you've got a world-class fighter on top of you. You can't fight back. You can't scramble.
Right.
He didn't tap. He just covered up and ate the punches until the end of the round.
Right.
Technically, if you could hear Conor McGregor yelling something when he was on the ground. He was yelling, and I couldn't really understand what he was saying because I think it was because of the Irish accent. Yeah. What he's yelling was, "That's a doctor stoppage, right? That's a doc stoppage."
Right.
Because he doesn't want it to be he doesn't want it on his record that he got knocked out or he got submitted. He wants it that the doctor said he wasn't going to continue with the fight. So it's interesting to see from a fighter's mentality standpoint.
He's still thinking.
They're sitting there with a broken leg, and he's yelling about how they're going to officially record the fight.
Right.
But then, just horrible things that he's talking about. He's still talking about, Dustin's wife. And
yeah. I was listening to him, and he was calling his wife names.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, did he just call his wife? And I didn't know the whole story, but then we came in this morning and we were talking about it a little bit. And you were saying that supposphosedly the wife messaged Conor McGregor.
Message request.
Right.
To
And
Conor
he denied
McGregor,
it.
And he screenshotted it and posted it, which doesn't mean that, there's people that can create, screens that look like,
right.
It's a
Anybody can
screenshot.
do
So that can be photoshopped. So who knows if it happened or not. Dustin Poirier and his wife say they laughed about it because it wasn't true.
They're good.
But he's still playing that. He's still playing
He's still trying to mess with his mind.
So that's a leg break, not an ankle break.
Yeah.
It
was ugly.
Lower left tibia.
The replay kept going, and I was like, ugh. It was like, I don't know. There was a football game where we watched where the person's leg,
like Joe Theismann.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. So there you go.
There's been a few of those. There's been a few of those. Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, and now Conor McGregor have all had. But that wasn't as bad as Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva's was like flopping around like a wet rag.
Yeah,
it's
still
and
awful.
Then he stepped on it.
Right.
So, and you could see Conor's face immediately. It wasn't one of those where he wasn't aware that that had happened as he stepped back. So weird, crazy thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
From the UFC standpoint, 264 was a huge win. You had Conor McGregor back in the ring. You had, huge knockout moments.
Yeah.
And then
like a minute, all in the first round.
Yeah. And then
the ones that I wanted to watch.
Everybody's talking about it today.
Yeah.
So is the Faika podcast. So
yeah, there you go.
even we're not an MMA show, but we're, we're mainstream in what we're watching. And last night that was a big event the whole way through.
That was crazy.
So congratulations, Brad Tavares, Bam Bam Tuivasa, Tai Tuivasa. Both looking to move up in the rankings. They're probably both going to be solidly in the top 10 when the new rankings come out.
Yeah, crazy. So I think that we are going to take a quick break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break, play a song. When we come back, we are going to have two guests.
Yeah.
Our mystery guest showed up, so there will be unknown to him. There'll be a microphone in front of him and headphones on his head.
He will be sitting down. Yeah. So the song we're going to go to, you're listening to the Faika broadcast, Lomas Brown, Sweet Lover. We'll be right back.
This is the Faika podcast.
There you go.
See you soon.
Yay.
Try, cause every woman be playing with my mind. Tell me, mommy, why are you so mysterious? What's so different, beautiful, so innocent? Straight up, you be my flavor, baby. Be real, with you woman, just don't face that. Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, I'm with you, girl, I just can't deny. Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, oh yeah, falling in love. Where I see now one and one is two, just like me and you. Three, watch me carefully. See me eyes now. Yes. Ooh, I hope you feeling me. Tell me that I'm right. Cause I don't wanna be a lonely man tonight. Your personality, so damn sophisticated. But I can match you, girl. Just let me demonstrate it. See, I like a woman who is strong, so independent. Someone who knows just what she wants. And she educated. Well, take a second, take a minute, take your time. Cause I've been waiting all my life to make you mine. Sweet love, and won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, I'm with you, girl, I just can't deny. Sweet love, and won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, yeah, falling in love. See now one and one is two, just like me and you. Three, watch me carefully. Ain't nobody else do it like me. I've been trying to write it up, can you harmonize my song? What's so much drama's in my life, I can't go on. So, can you tame my soul? Can you tame my heart? So me don't wanna go fussing or fighting. Me I wanna fresh start. Oh, girl, look into my life. Can you see yourself beside me? Or is this just another sweet love fantasy? Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, I'm with you, girl, I just can't deny. Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, with you, girl, I just can't deny. Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, with you, girl, I just can't deny. Sweet love, won't you give me a chance tonight? Falling in love, oh yeah, falling in love. So now one and one is two, just like me and you. Three, watch me carefully. Oh yeah, we are seeing now one and one is two, just like me and you. Three, watch me carefully. About the drama, what I'm looking for, what I'm looking for.
Oh, there you go. Are we back? We are back, and you're listening to the Faika broadcast. I can't hear, though. None of my mic is on. Our mic is not on. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Technical difficulties when you're live. There you go.
Good thing that's why it's our show.
That's right. We can do whatever we want when we want. It can be whatever we want.
We can edit too.
We're listening. You're listening to the Faika broadcast. We are back. We're just going to cover Mana. Essence of Mana is offering a free class via Zoom. They are reaching out to our PI community, and it doesn't matter where you live. They just have to be willing to commit to the course, which is 12 weeks. For more information or to register, you can hit up Lulu Masina at 415-243-6328 or El Masina at healthright360.org. They also have Talanoa Tuesday, which is every Tuesday at 7 p.m., hosted by Nani Wilson and Lulu Masina.
We can protect ourselves and our loved ones from COVID-19 by getting vaccinated, and our youth 12 years and older vaccinated as well. It will become even safer for families to gather in person at churches or community events without fear or worry. Young people aged 12 and over are now eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. These vaccines have been tested and are safe with mild side effects, as we have seen these in 16 and above. Vaccination will lead to safer gatherings in our houses of worship. This part of the program is brought to you in partnership with Vaccinate All 58 and the Center at Sierra Health Foundation.
Yay.
How about that? Pay them bills.
Awesome. So in the studio, we have two amazing people. Maluseu, Doris Tulifau, is an educator, activist, organizer, survivor, and founder of Brown Girl Woke, an online feminist community with chapters in Samoa, American Samoa, California, and Hawaii. Look at that.
Look at that.
The idea for Brown Girl Woke came to her in college when she was invited to speak about Pacific Islander culture at a women's shelter in California. She was there to help them develop culturally appropriate responses to domestic violence, but in her research was not able to find any information about Pacific Islander women specifically. Now Doris and Brown Girl Woke are ensuring that there are safe spaces for future generations to talk about trauma and healing. There you go. Welcome, Doris. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me and to being in Fairfield. I felt like, oh, Fairfield.
Never. Welcome to Fairfield.
Welcome to Fairfield. And also we have Irae Hosea. He's the Pacific Islander owner of Levasa Island Apparel. He grew up in Modesto, California, and went to college at Pacific University in Forest Grove, Oregon. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Graduated with a degree in media arts. Before the pandemic, Irae was working two jobs, one corporate and one overnight in Portland, Oregon. During the quarantine, a family emergency gave him a wake-up call to start taking his blessings seriously. From always working for other people to actually having the time to work on Levasa and his vision for it. Irae is taking small steps to build it into something positively renowned. Levasa operates out of his home, and the grind is a journey, and his vision helps him look past unfavorable circumstances. Irae says, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him what you have got planned. He has something even greater planned for you. Trust and believe. Inspired by entrepreneurs such as Brown Girl Woke, Oos Juice LLC, and Mr. Fab's Dope Era, Levasa Island Apparel is a clothing line that aims to represent the languages and cultures of the South Pacific Islands accurately and responsibly. He quotes Professor Epeli Hau'ofa, "We are not defined by the smallness of our islands, but the greatness of our oceans." Welcome, Irae.
I love that quote. That's one of my favorites. Yay.
So we have our international star, Brown Girl Woke, Doris Tulifau.
International.
She's not only international all over the Pacific and the West Coast, she's also an amazing host for Poly by Design. When we traveled to Samoa in 2019, she showed us the ropes. She showed us where the locals hang out. She showed us the good stuff.
The food was amazing.
The island, Fiafia Beach. I mean, there's so many different things that she took time out of her busy schedule to take care of us. So thank you.
No, it's amazing. I love when people come over and like, just because I know that if I go anywhere else, the same thing happens, when I come home with you guys. So it's good to come to Samoa. Please come to Samoa, people. And when the borders open.
Yes, when the borders open. Awesome. People are shouting you out in the chat, Facebook Live. Pauline White, Levasa Island Apparel. She's like, wow, Doris, Brown Girl Woke. Patsy Tito, Executive Director of Samoan Community Development Center, is shouting you guys out. Lena Manuleleua, Monica Malio. Tons and tons of people are like praising you guys in the chat. So thank you for showing up this morning. Our Doris, who is here from Samoa. Tell us what you're up to, and about your container that just left.
My container from Hawaii to California. No, it's been amazing coming back home. And usually when I come back home, it's easier to get more donations. I did it really late, but we got an amazing
Tons
donation
stuff,
from you
yeah.
guys, like the wipes, the sanitation wipes, and the mask. We still need it in Samoa. We're still going through vaccination. Me and Irae were just talking about how funny. Maybe we should have had Johnson and Johnson in Samoa because the 2 doses of the vaccination. The first one was 40,000 people. The second one was like 180.
Oh wow!
We gotta do it once.
Oh, you mean we need 2?
Yeah, I was like, well, we had to go back, and then we were talking about it, and he was like, I was like, yeah, because if we don't do the second one on time, then you have to do it over,
Right?
And I'm like, and you know how Samoa's run is that we get donations from different countries for the vaccination. So it's not like we have 5 million of the vaccination around. I think we probably got 200,000 because of our population.
Wow.
So can you imagine if they had to do it all over again?
Yeah.
It seems like the way that they prioritize like testing and the vaccination, that American Samoa, because of the comorbidities and the chronic issues that are there, you would think that would be where that they would focus. Like we need to make sure that we have extra for this population because they're at higher risk. Clearly that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And then it was only like the push for the vaccination just so people could come home. But so much people were passing away when they were getting stuck in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's no different from people from Samoa. There's still people. So the flight that I'm on is a repat flight. And in that flight is the rugby players that play overseas in Europe.
They're trying to get home.
Yeah, the people that are on the cruise ships. Like a lot of people don't know that we're not only have people that are out there for rugby or on cruise ships, the people that were picking apples and whatever, when they finally got back home, they were safe. But this trip, this flight that I'm on is all the people that have been stuck in Europe coming and it's go through American Samoa. So my flight's gonna be packed.
Crazy packed.
and it's a charter flight, so it's super expensive. I don't know if you see my post.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like 16,000.
Tala.
Yeah.
So that's still like $7,000 one way.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
That's
one
crazy.
way.
That's
like
so
how many
crazy.
people could afford that?
Nobody.
Right.
Yeah, nobody. So I think they probably smart because the rugby teams and probably the cruise ships probably have to pay for their employees.
And they'll pay.
They'll pay it. But what about people like
normal
me?
People.
Yeah, normal people. Like, okay, can I get like the seat all the way in the back on the?
I know.
Just like
I
with the
just need
suitcases. Yeah, I just need to get back.
I just need a little spot. Yeah,
get the exit row.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is that much money to come over and help. So and I think those are some of the things that people don't understand when you're trying to help people.
Right.
Like sometimes they would just see like the end result, like, wow, Brown Girl Woke donated X, Y, and Z, or you know what I mean? But you don't see the
crying.
They don't see all the effort, all the family and the friends that meet on a dock or meet on a shipping company, and paying thousands of dollars just to be able to do it, to just be able to fly and work that kind of magic. That's those are things that aren't appreciated enough.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't understand with community work, especially like sometimes people think like there's entitlement, like, but that's what you do. You're supposed to do this for me. It's like, okay.
Let me take my earrings off. Hold up.
Like, that's what you signed up for. I said, no, I signed up for something else.
Yeah.
To make sure that when we do this type of work, that you're going to change, not that I'm just always giving.
Right.
Like, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I have learned in Samoa, the systems. There's a lot of broken systems. And for me to do this, I got to start very small and not think like I need the mass production. Right. I need to save 1 billion people. I think the biggest thing that I have learned is just to make small groups and see that change and know that those groups are going to change somebody. You know, that same mindset. I'm only going to change one person. But we don't talk about, but that one person's going to change.
Exactly.
People. That one person is going to change. I think we need to say it more out to the youth. Like, not only you're going to change that one person, that one person is going to
help somebody else.
Too, you know?
Yes.
Like second generation Doris. Doris helped this person.
Doris helps
your
Kavika. And Kavika tells his sister.
Yeah. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're seeing it right here, right?
Right.
Irae, you're learning, and it does it scary when you're learning from Doris. We're talking about how hard things can be and how sometimes you're unappreciated when you're doing community work. Is that a good thing for you to be seeing in the long run, or do you look at that like, oh my gosh, like what am I getting into?
Well, just building a business as far as a clothing brand is concerned. you kind of get that, oh man, I'm alone. I'm on my own.
Right.
And it might feel bad, but after talking with you, it's sort of encouraging when you know where you're getting into, right? Too, it's like, hey, that feeling you have right now, it's gonna get worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll put an amen to that.
Right.
It
So
is.
if you're not ready for the grit or the grind right now, and like, in the lane that you're going in right now, then don't move on to the next lane until you're ready. You know what I mean? But it's encouraging, that the fact that, hey man, that feeling of being on your own and have that burden on your shoulders, it's gonna get worse, but you're gonna be ready for it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that those are the things of like, that's the thing that you have in common with Doris. You're in an apparel business, but if you're an entrepreneur in whatever, in community, in business, you're going to fail a whole bunch of times. There's going to be all kinds of times where things don't work out the way you want. And that's where the passion has to get you through those moments.
Right.
Because if you don't have the passion and you have failure, you have adversity, it's easy. If you don't have the passion, just to say, well, that's hard. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. I'm
going to stop doing that. It's the passion and the want to do it to get through it. So you're watching a good person. Before we came on before we hit the mic on the break, you were saying how you're soaking up you're spending as much time as you can with Doris while she's here. And that's, I love seeing that, the leadership of, here's how I do things. And that's what you're talking about, right? I'm going to change. I'm going to help one person. And that person is going to go on and help, other people. And somewhere down the line, people are going to help that don't even know who Doris is. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be able to call you up and say, hey, thank you, because this person helped that person, help that person, help them.
Right.
And this should be a good feeling for you, that you're helping people that you probably never meet.
I think we were talking about that when we were on the road, because I could see him as being young, and I remember being like that too. Like, I only want to help my community, my PI community, and I was like, I named Brown Girl Woke because I understood that in this journey, it's not always going to be our people.
Right.
It's going to be everybody, human. Like, you're going to touch people's lives. Like, we got to understand that I didn't have professors that were Samoan or Tongan or Pacific Islanders, or my mentors or people I looked up to, until I got to a point where, I opened my mind to my parents were my biggest mentors.
Yes,
you learn that
I
later
love your
on.
dad.
Yeah, my dad's always there. He's like, I didn't know I retired to work for Brown Girl Woke for free.
Yes, Dad. Yes, you did.
But we were talking about it. I was telling him, because he's so passionate about our community. I said, you got to open it up, because I've seen it for so long being in this work, that you kind of get resentful from your own people when you know that you see that they could learn from this. And but just because you think something's good for them doesn't mean it's good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it be our own people that be knocking us down the most.
Well, it's going to be people you're around, right?
Right.
Why would somebody from, I don't know, Pakistan knock us down? They don't know who we are.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody who's familiar or that knows you.
Right.
And that's why you have to open it up more. Like, so you don't have that, like,
man,
I've been trying to help my people this whole time.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to, I was like, but you also have to understand that no one asked you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. That
no
part.
one asked you to do
that
this
part.
work. You're the one that wanted to do this. So you got to be understanding. You got to empathize all the time.
Right.
Understand people's stories and where they come from, and not get mad at it.
Right.
Especially our own people.
Right.
Because we know our own stories.
Yes.
Well, and then if you're doing it for that reason, it doesn't matter whether you don't need affirmation from but if you're doing it because you want the affirmation, then you don't get it. Or even worse, you get like negative affirmation, then it becomes really, that becomes personal. You know what I mean? If you just want to help people and you're helping people, the other stuff kind of falls into place. Like, all right, even though you're saying that. But if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, boy, that's going to be a tough ride.
That's a tough ride. Yeah.
It's hard when you want to do this for the right reasons, but you're not making ends meet. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm trying to do this for my people. Do they know I'm not eating at night? Like we said earlier, people don't understand what we've done just to get these things to go. Like, I'm not eating at home. Well, I am eating now. That's where Irae is going to be at. But before, I used to use my financial aid for the Sac State PI conferences I had.
Right.
I used my financial aid to feed the kids
Mm-hmm.
to make them come to these conferences. People don't know those stories.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't see that. Like, I use my money that I'm supposed to pay my rent, pay my books
Right.
for my community. But we have to learn that we got to make it first to come back, so we don't
Right.
have those kind of like
See, those
looking
are,
at people like, I didn't eat.
Yeah.
those are beautiful
And you talking
words.
smack?
Yeah. Oh no. So if you pay for the food with your
Yeah.
financial aid and it's not the food they wanted,
Yeah.
the only thing they're going to know it wasn't the food they
Yeah.
wanted.
Right. Right.
But so important what you just said, that you got to make it and come back.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you don't achieve the greatness that you were supposed to achieve, you can't help as many people as you want to help. So a lot of times, you're not doing something for, X, Y, or Z, but it's keeping you from achieving, what you were destined to achieve. But somewhere in your mind, you got this echo of what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And that's where you get like, mental issues of like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something greater than what I'm doing. You are, but you've got to figure out how to do that. And then you're okay when you come up with the adversity and things don't come through because you're working towards it. But I think there's a whole bunch of people that are in life with that feeling of like, I was supposed to do something different. Like, I don't know what I was supposed to do, but this ain't it. And if you got that feeling, at least this is my personal belief. I'm not saying go quit your job today.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
don't
you
do
gotta
that.
Call you tomorrow.
Don't do that. I know.
But you got to seek that out. Like you got to start digging into that and figure out like, why do you feel that way?
Right.
And open up to those feelings. Otherwise you're like, you're just conflicted.
We were talking about that because, Irae has all these like, aspirations of doing different things. And I'm like, what I've learned with myself, we're doing STEM projects in Samoa now. I know nothing about STEM.
Exactly.
But one thing I know that I'm good at is building platforms, getting funding.
Right.
So that's me.
Yeah.
What I need to get is the people that do the STEM. And that's what I did. I got a partner in Australia that does STEM projects. That's a professor. STEM here. Big ups to Lola that does stuff in the Bay Area as well.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just connect with them, partner with them, let them do what they're passionate about.
Part. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're out there and you're like, I need to do something bigger or better, look for the people that's been doing it.
Yeah.
And ask them how, what they went through.
How can I help?
How can I help?
Yeah.
And the people that are mentors, I know we've been through it. Some of us, we don't want to teach because we went through the hard way.
Yeah.
But you got to.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
you didn't open all these doors just for yourself. Hopefully you open the door for somebody else to get through it, that we don't have to keep on learning from our mistakes. And I see that with our community, that we feel like, oh, I didn't open it for you. I opened it for me. But no, you did it. You did.
No,
Right. And somebody helped you open it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Somebody held the door for you, even if it was just a crack. If they didn't open it all the way,
Mm-hmm.
then look back and make sure you're keeping it open for the next person.
Yeah. You can't gatekeep. The gatekeepers,
Exactly.
I'm back home and I'm like, I was telling him, I'm like, good luck. I went to Samoa because I knew that when I was here and, just seeing all my mentors go through what they went through and looking for funding and trying to do all this amazing work that they couldn't. And you almost go against each other because you're trying to get this funding that's only for PI. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to Samoa.
I'm going to take my ball and go home.
And it's been amazing. But it's not for everything. And I was telling him that some people are like, Doris, if you were here, you'd have done this and that. I was like, nah, I was always meant to go to Samoa. Yeah. Let's not do that. Let's not if you were here, I'm doing amazing in Samoa.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What would it matter of me being here? Everyone has their place.
Everybody has their place. Yeah. Yeah. That's
awesome.
What
people sometimes don't realize when you're like, well, if this happened, well, yeah, maybe if this parallel universe, but then then none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Like you can't, it's not always where you can do everything. Like you were saying earlier, like you got to pick what you're going to do. We had interviewed, what was the guy's name? We were at the bakery in Salt Lake, the Tongan radio.
Ikoni? Iconic
radio. And he had said the same thing. We were talking about, I think it was before we started the cameras rolling. He was talking about how he's surprised that there's not more Pacific Islanders in STEM. You know what I mean? And he goes, and we're good at that. Like, but I don't know why we don't. And this, just when you were talking about that, I was like, wow, and he's got a master's doctorate. Like he is very well educated, but to hear him say the same thing that you're saying, and then you're going to people like you're going to find a way, to make it happen. But he was kind of puzzled the same way of like, I don't know why there's not more of us involved in these fields, because we're good at that stuff. Like, we're wired for that. But there people aren't opening doors that way.
Yeah, or the stereotype and the stigma of
and we don't see
groups.
We don't see people looking like us in that field. And I think if we start to showcase that, you're talking about it, we put people on that are in fields that we're not used to seeing, like entrepreneurs and community leaders, like they've got to see the faces in order to believe, right? And we're storytellers, so we've got to keep talking about it and putting it in the youth's minds. Like, this is what we are. We can do this. We can do that. We can do whatever you want to do, but they have to see the faces. You know what I mean? Because we just are visual people.
Yeah, in Samoa, we have so much. You go Samoa, there's like 1,000 lawyers, doctors everywhere, right? Judges. I mean, that's a beautiful thing of being
and it's
back
normal
home.
there.
To have that normalcy. But even in the most rural areas, like I did a workshop with young girls in rugby, and they're all from rural areas in Samoa. Mm-hmm. And I asked them, I said, raise your hand, because we're talking about gender equality, right? I said, raise your hand if you think women are scientists. No one raised their hand. Women are doctors. No one raised their hand. But when you use words like nurse, it's like
everybody's hand goes up.
Because we identify. But we got to start using, I mean, if even in our own Samoan language, if you still don't have gender equality, then there's something wrong. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with it. So
definitely.
Like, even speaking to them, if we can't see visual, just speaking to them, you can be in everything. We have so much. I mean, we got to even talk about midwives that are amazing as well. I just met Ruta. She came and donated yesterday.
Yeah,
I follow her.
Amazing.
And I said, I know
she's
who you
awesome.
are.
Yeah.
You're her, what do you call them?
Doulas.
Yeah. And I was like, you're a
doula. She's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just, we have to see our people in that light.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to champion the things that matter. It's attention currency, right? So what are people paying attention to? All the flash, the money, NFL players.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, when she was saying that there's a bunch of doctors, lawyers out there, I was like, I haven't met one in the States. Like, what? I don't know too many Samoan doctors, lawyers. I have questions about like copywriting and trademarking. I don't know who to talk to that is Samoan Tongan or like an islander about it. And,
those are we were eating breakfast with Doris in Samoa, and this lady walked in. This doctor walked in, and she's like, "Oh, this is a doctor from the university," and we're like, we need to grab a microphone, shove it in her face. Went out on the patio, and
it's not even a big deal to.
And after we, like the next day, we were like, wow, we'd be interviewing like everybody down, we were so that was such a odd concept for us for that to happen, because in I don't know, in Sacramento, if a PI doctor walked in, I would be like, oh, I got to interview them. And then it took us like one day in Samoa before like, okay, we need to calm down.
We're here on vacation.
I know, but it's beautiful to see that it's normal there.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to bring that mindset here where it's normal to see a lawyer, a PI doctor, which we've been around doctors. And I still am amazed, because it's not normal for us to see that.
You're in New Zealand, you're in Samoa, you're, I don't know, in Suva, like that's going to be different. But man, you were probably laughing at us, Doris.
No, I know.
Like, we need to interview.
We went to that pizza place with the Palusami pizza.
Oh yeah, Giordano's. Big ups to Giordano's.
Yes, that was so good, by the way.
Palusami pizza?
Yes,
so good.
It's so good.
So that's the response. So everybody at the table was like, who was it? I think it was Mona said, if I want palusami, I'll have palusami. I don't want it on my pizza.
She was so against it.
And then she ate like 3 pieces.
I know.
She ate it all.
Mine.
Yeah, it was so good. But, Doris is like, the owner comes over and Doris is like, oh, this is the owner of the, you know what I mean? Like, we're meeting entrepreneurs. Yeah. I mean, just the mindset there. And it's beautiful to see that it's normal in Samoa. And we need to bring that mindset here. And we're trying.
Yeah, we should be at that mindset.
Right.
Our parents sacrificed, our grandparents sacrificed to be here. Like we talked about generation, like this is the next generation. Right. I should have done enough for you to be the next, surpass me real soon. He's going to, but our grandparents and our parents sacrificed already from like when they came in during racism, during discrimination, during. So why don't this next generation?
Right. And it's almost to the, like a responsibility to the previous generations to surpass them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that's what it shouldn't be looked at as like, oh, I think I'm better than. No, they put the foundation down. They expect us to build floors on top of the foundation, not try to stay where we're at. I mean, that's a great way of looking at it, that they've done things for us. We're doing things for the next generation. We should look at it that way, not like, bringing the culture. I think let's talk about that. How do you do that? How do we do that and bring the culture with us? Because I think a lot of people are thinking that we would separate from the culture if we continue to put floors on top of the foundation that our previous generations built. And we were talking about that before the show. Tama, him teaching a language and culture class. So being in Samoa, do you think it's harder to bring the culture along here in the U.S. And build that up? Or like, do you think people will get the idea that they need to choose one or the other? Do you think that's because I feel like some people are looking at it like, well, if I abandon this, if I go to college and I'm not here for my parents, my grandparents, and I'm gone for a few years, I'm choosing between further education, higher education, or my culture. Do you see that here?
I see it like what I know and what I understand of doing like so much work from America to Samoa is that we have the mentality of quick money, fast cash. We live week by week. The process of going to school for 4 years and blah, 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 it looks so far away that we don't, we're not used to that. We live by today, or we live by paycheck to paycheck. So bringing that mindset, like invest in your children, invest in and I see it. I mean, coming back home and I meet kids or, so I've gotten interviewed by Samoan girls from Stanford to Harvard to Brown in the last few years. That's awesome. Which is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And they're majoring in social work, which is something like, you typically think that when you get to their parents are going to push them to go be a doctor or whatever, but it's amazing because we need it.
Yeah.
Mental health.
Mental health is huge.
Yeah. Therapy. You see in the other communities, we need to learn from the other communities like Black therapy. We need brown therapy. We need island therapy. And it's been amazing seeing, Dr. Ty and everybody. I see them through Poly by Design, like the interviews, like to show face that, especially men doing this work. So for me, bringing the culture, we need to break the cycle of that kind of mentality that, well, if I go to school, then, my parents are not going to eat. But can you imagine when you go to school and you're done and you come back, your parents are going to live and like, what I mean? They're going to eat more than you ever thought. And I think it's that we get scared of that mentality of investing for too long.
Right. Because we go away and like, who's going to feed them? Who's going to drive them around to their doctor's appointments? You know what I mean?
Even for me, like me keep going to school. My mom used to tell me like, oh yeah, your auntie said that you need to come home and take care of your parents. I'm like, who says that kind of like, that mentality? Like
they're fine. They can take care of themselves.
First of all, my dad is well, and my brothers are at home, but then the mentality that I'm a girl.
The girl.
I'm the only girl. So I should come back home. That's too much school. Yeah. It's like, man, you have no.
Yeah, walava.
Come that's back enough.
Home. Hell no. Yeah, like, but my brother is over here. What is he doing?
I doubt she said walava to her mom.
Yeah. No, her mom was that's like we have to get out of that too, thinking that the girl has to take care of the parents.
Yeah,
we have to get out of that mentality.
Well, I was reading a book about Hawaii. And in Hawaii, at a certain time, it was illegal for Chinese or Japanese people to send their kids to school off island. It was actually there were laws in Hawaii because they knew that if they went and got a higher education, they were going to come back, because that's what the Chinese immigrants were doing. They were sending their kids to school specifically for them to come back and build businesses and build their community. And so I think that's something that hopefully people can understand. There was a point where you couldn't go to school if you wanted to. That's how valuable education is. Education was controlled. It's been controlled before in history by government, by church, by, all kinds of different organizations that now you can go to school. It's a matter of like making the choice and having enough vision to that. But there's been times where, the government's not allowed brown people or, Asian people to even go to school because they know, they understood what was going to happen. You didn't want a bunch of people going to Michigan and going to, all these, they were Midwest schools at the time, and then coming back and all of a sudden they understand contract law, they understand labor law, they understand all these things. They don't want that happening. So understand the value of the education and go out there and get it.
There's
you have to put yourself in a better situation. They're scared of that.
Yeah.
We have a question, Irae de la Fosse, but how do we invest when we don't have the finances to put children in school for 4 years? Just a question. We already have a setback financially, so how do we close the gap? How do we close? I mean, there's a lot of, the only thing that I can think of is there is a lot of grants geared towards just Pacific Islanders that we don't know nothing about. I know when my kids were going to college, I was digging through trying to find, because I can't afford to send them to college. So I was looking for grants. There's tons and tons, but people don't know. I think that also is a leeway. Starting in junior college in San Francisco, it's free.
If you live in San Francisco.
If you live in San Francisco, it's free to go to San Francisco. Just like in Fairfield, where my daughter, it's free to go to junior college. That is a start. And I think that's amazing. I couldn't even afford to go to college when I got out of high school, but for the kids to have that opportunity now, I really don't have an answer for that.
Well, I think that we got to start early, right? We got to start in pre-K and be talking about college and because I'll tell you, my daughter got a full ride softball scholarship to Menlo College. She could have got a full ride academic scholarship for the same dollars as she got playing softball. So that really opened my eye. Like it was more of a socializing thing. She loved playing softball. So we were in travel ball. We were traveling to, Oregon and Nevada. And, every weekend it was some, crazy tournament somewhere in 120 degree heat sometimes. Oh, and I think about it, like, we were so happy to get the scholarship, right? Like she got the scholarship finally. There's some different schools she was planning on. She just wanted a cold. She didn't want anything in hot weather. So she picked one on the peninsula. But then when we found out that the academic scholarship was the same dollars that she got for the athletic scholarship, it really made me think like, she was going to go to school whether she got the athletic scholarship or not. Because she could have just said, okay, I'm not playing. I'll just do this. So I think we need to, really think about this, pre-K and be having these conversations in their, 8th grade, freshman year. They're in there talking to the counselor and they're putting them on the path. And then, like Naki said, there's a ton of Asian Pacific Islander private grants, private scholarships out there that, my daughter didn't know about. We kept telling her, oh, well, I think there was like $7,500 that wasn't paid for in her, her college year. I was like, oh, get this, like go to the Samoa Solutions has Illuminati and there's this and there's that. And she was like, where? She had no idea about, where to go to apply. So,
so we ain't got to answer.
I think the conversation needs to start early.
Yeah.
I think, like for us, we didn't grow up rich.
Right. Yeah,
I lived in an apartment.
Yeah, me too.
Me and Irae got academic scholarships.
That's awesome.
So it isn't. We can only say like you also have to invest in yourself,
right?
I mean,
and you have to want to.
You can't do everything. I was on a panel in Sonoma College for PIs on higher education, and one of the moms was kind of getting mad at us. It was like professors and me as a community activist, and it's like, why isn't there any money for us for Pacific Islanders and blah 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 blah? There's no scholarships, and I was just sitting there and like, we can't do everything for you. Like you think I had that? So I got API scholarships all through college. Once you get in there, then you find out there's all these little scholarships.
Right.
I got thousands and thousands from API. I had to like work internships. Big up from Sacramento. I went to Sac State. So big up to Papa APAP up there that funded almost all my education. But it is also, I also told my cousins to do it. I don't know if Irae did the sisters.
You have to look.
From LA. Yeah, you have to look. But when you find it, tell people.
Yes.
Don't just keep it for yourself. So a few of my cousins that were in LA, I also got the sister scholarship. It's a sister scholarship. I guess it was like these missionary ladies that went to Samoa and then they give a scholarship.
Oh, wow.
So that's big too in LA. But a lot of us, when we get the scholarship, we graduate, we're just like, we're done. You know what I mean?
But there's so many, like when you're in school, they tell you to go here, go there, go there. You have to be paying attention to these things, and your kids have to be paying attention. And they come home with paperwork with lists of resources. So if you're not asking your kid in their senior year, well, really in the beginning, but in the senior year, that's when your school gives you all the resources for you to succeed. And if you don't use them and relying on outside sources, you're going to be lost. You're going to be lost.
Even your own kid.
So,
That's what I'm saying. When this Samoan lady in LA, she's probably not watching this because she's older. But she was just coming for us. She was
Let's tag her on this.
Why don't we have our own blah, blah, blah? Why don't we do it? I'm like, we're all advocates.
Yes.
Like, you're a parent. You should be the number one advocate for your kid. So you should be asking yourself, what can I do to make sure, go to your job.
Right.
You know, go to I did the same thing when I did this work. I went everywhere. I emailed everybody. You got to do the same thing for your kid. Like, man, maybe my work gives, some
scholarships.
Scholarships, so you don't even know.
Which 98% of the companies give scholarships to, whoever.
And sometimes people are looking for like the one big, well, I'm just going to write the letter, to this place. It's like fundraising. Like you may get only $250 from that place, but you may get $7,500 from this place. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's work. It's hard work to figure out where is the funding.
Right.
And it starts, and as dumb as this sounds, I can't believe I'm even on my own show saying it. It starts with good grades. Yeah. It's hard to get scholarships.
Just being real.
I mean, just being real.
Me and Irae didn't grow up rich.
Right.
We got academic scholarships. You know what I mean?
And it wasn't by getting bad grades.
But we also knew our parents always told us our situations. I'm like, I'm gonna cry. But my dad slept at the airport. He worked, as a rabbit agent, and he slept. My mom made sure, like, your dad's sleeping for you to go to school.
Yeah,
and sometimes
we don't understand that.
We don't tell our kids. We don't want our kids to know the sacrifice.
Yes,
because we came from the island here, and we're trying to do better for you. And I don't want you to know that there's struggle, but we need to, because
yes, we need to tell our kids. That's when
we have ungrateful kids.
Right? Oh my God, it's so bad now.
Yeah. One thing that helped me a lot as far as like paying for school was, like I was in Avid when I was in high school. So my teacher
with my kids.
Nice, yeah. So my teacher, junior, senior year, they got you ready. They taught you how to write or fill out an application.
Yes.
What that looks like, what that feels like when you're talking to people, right? Because you're an asset. You got to like present yourself as such. But writing and essay scholarships helped me out a lot. Like there's companies that want people to write an essay for why duct tape is a needed resource.
Right.
Bet. You know what I mean?
Right.
About why duct tape is so useful. You know what I mean? There's companies that like will write an essay like, we hosted the junior prom last year, like write the best review for it. You know what I mean? People will cash out for that. And it's like you said, you gotta get a little from here, a little from there, and it ends up being a lot by the time you're done. But you have to exhaust every resource.
And it's hard work.
Right.
It's hard.
So
the money's out there.
Hard work, yes. Yeah. And you have to work hard and look for it. And I love what you said. You have to tell your kids your struggle so they understand what is going on and how you got there. Okay, let's move on. Doris, tell me what programs you're doing in Samoa. I've seen a water heater that you have done. Tell me about that.
So we're doing water tanks. A lot of people don't understand. It's so funny. A lot of people don't know that water is not accessible because they think we're on an island and the ocean water.
You just go to the water, right?
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're like, Doris, people think it's a scam. I'm like, we've had water tanks since like before the colonials came. If you go into Samoa, you'll see the old cement ones, which is probably in the 70s. So it's like it's been a thing in Samoa. Like some of the piping can't go that far inland. So especially if you're already vulnerable, like you're not going to have access to this. Okay, another big question. I should go through that. People are like, how do people not have access to water when one, there's no piping that goes that far. They're inland. There's villages that literally could go to the Samoan Water Authority, the Ministry of Water, and they'll tell you there's villages with no access.
Yeah. They barely have walls.
Yeah.
Or homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second question is like, well, how can that happen if people have family? Just like how people are poor in Samoa.
Right.
They still have family, but
that's crazy. Crazy questions.
Yeah, I know. What? I always get these kind of questions and I always have to especially when people want to donate, they ask me like, a billion questions, you know, like, because they're donating, giving back. So that's why I don't mind it. But some of the questions, like, you know, I thought everyone has water. You're living on an island.
Right.
Someone said it was a scam. I said, okay, I got no time. But
I'm to the curb.
I live on the island. Another question that always, like I said, people are like, how can they not have water when they should have family? A lot of families have 10 people and they could only...
They're trying to get their own water.
Yeah, they're all trying to get their own water. People don't share as well. As much as I try to like I've had families that live right next to each other. Like, you know, we could actually give you a bigger water tank and all. Oh, no, just us. And they're related to each other. But, you know, you don't know their circumstances. So I'm not a judge.
Right.
You do this for so long. You don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, you don't even ask. You just
like, okay,
keep going.
you must know, you know.
Yeah.
Another part of our water tank is like making sure that we go back to the families and see if they're okay and still be a part of it. Because the families that we give water tanks, they also don't have electricity. They're also living really, really vulnerable. Right. Even my dad asked me this question that a lot of people ask, like, how can they be like that poor, like, you know, living on an island with so much family? And I told my dad, I said, it's mostly these young couples that leave their families that are already poor, but don't want to contribute to that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right,
They're
they just
like,
want out.
They just want out and do their own thing. And they find these like little places, you know, in their land that their family has and gives it to them. So a lot of the families that we're helping are in their late 20s, early 30s. And you see that during the measles epidemic, when we would go out to families, it was a lot of young couples that were really poor, that had a lot of children, that couldn't isolate. Because, you know, that was the biggest thing with the measles, was to isolate your kids if one had measles. But if you are poor and you live like in a
all in one room, right?
How can that happen?
Right.
So it's the same thing with the families I've been helping. People even message me that have donated. Big up to the big up. I see Victoria from Tanuvasa in Utah. She has donated almost, I think, 6 to 8 water tanks. Wow. So she's a real estate agent in Utah, and every time she sells a house, she contributes to buying a water tank.
Wow.
No, she buys a whole water tank.
Dang.
That's a
okay. Wow.
I like that.
What company is that?
Victoria Tanuvasa. She's a real estate.
Victoria Tanuvasa. Okay, we gonna promote you, girl.
Yeah, real estate. So she's at 6 to 8 water tanks. She's been doing it since March or February. So
That's
she's been,
awesome.
I know
6 to 8 tanks this year.
Yeah, this year.
Wow.
And she makes sure. And the other thing is the awareness. So she makes sure that the family that buys knows that the money is going to go towards the water tank. And I've seen those families like promote it as well. And that's how much we need, is just the awareness as well. But I've been super blessed to be for her
badass.
For her to do that.
That's a flex.
Yes.
And she has like every time I see her post, she has like a whole group of PIs that are in real estate, which is something that we should do. We're such good salesmen.
Yes.
But we're selling the wrong stuff.
Well, really, what you do as a salesperson, you sell yourself.
Yeah.
You just sell yourself. Yeah. And we're so good at selling ourselves, like what we do.
Yeah.
Like we would be, I mean, I'm sure we are amazing.
Everyone wants to buy
right
in.
Yes.
Everybody wants to buy in. I was another person that donated, I'm going off, but another person that donated, big ups to Snappy Gamers. She's a PI gaming nonprofit. And even for her, I was telling her, yeah, you know, what's the game, the car game, and it says Uso in it, Grand Theft Auto. I was saying, like, GTA. You know, if Grand Theft Auto had Uso in it and had Samoan words, they're not going to do something that the demographic ain't hitting. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we should have been in there. You know, we should have been pushing on having our own gamers, like making our own games.
Right.
If Grand Theft Auto, which is a huge game during the time, had Usos in it.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to do it just for, oh, my friend is Samoan.
Yeah.
Like how we used to think, like, oh, he must have a friend that's Samoan.
Exactly.
No, our demographic hits and they're making money off of us.
Right.
We got to think like that. So big ups to Snappy that also donates all the time. But so we have the water tank.
How much is a water tank?
It costs altogether $2,500 Tala.
$2,500.
Tala.
So that's like $1,300 American US dollars.
Yeah, right now. So and that is like a decade for a family.
Right.
It takes care of you for 10 years. People also ask me, how do they get water if there's not a lot of water? There's actually another company that we pay them to go and put water in there, but it's never like that because no one abuses their water tank.
Right.
Like they literally, like I've seen
they know how valuable that is.
So we did a video watching it. I mean, I do these projects, but it's not like I'd be sitting there and understanding really like how much people take, use this water. So I seen the lady literally use the same water to wash her dishes, to feed the animals, to do her laundry. Like she did her laundry first, then went to the dishes, and then put it the same water.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean? Like, so they don't just like over there taking
abuse
2-hour showers,
right?
And there's a water tank. They're
take grateful.
Yeah, and then or if they're not going to feed the animal, they put it towards the plants.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so ungrateful. You know what I mean? Just,
yeah, I know.
Taking I'm over here mad. I don't got hot water.
Yeah. Oh, that's
let
awesome.
the water run for like a minute till it turns hot.
Yeah, see?
So that's amazing.
The water tank project's been amazing. Just the awareness, telling people about it. Mm-hmm. We also make reusable pads for young girls that can't afford it. Menstrual cycle is still a huge thing, as well as sexual reproductive health, of talking to your family about it.
Right.
I can only imagine. I never had that talk in
America. I didn't have that talk either.
So imagine in Samoa, the same kind of thing. So we hooked up with different organizations. Big up to Afa'alu, who's in Project Runway.
Oh, yes.
He actually trains our girls how to make it.
Yeah.
He does it as well. He makes it in Utah and then sends it to Samoa.
Nice.
So yeah,
how do people donate that are listening or that want to donate to any of these causes?
Yeah, Brown Girl Woke on browngirlwoke.co/donate, or just go to our website, browngirlwoke.co, and you'll see all the different programs we have that you can donate to.
Awesome.
$1,400 for 10 years for a family.
Yes, 10 years of water.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That puts everything into perspective.
Right. That like if you were ungrateful, you gonna be grateful now.
And don't understand how much water is important, like your hygiene, like cleaning. Like we need that.
Well, it doesn't mean when you get to turn a knob and get as much as you want.
Yeah.
Like, you don't appreciate, people that walk
not having water,
walk miles for a bucket of water, or don't have water in a tank. Wow.
Right. Give me a list of people that donated to your container that's leaving, or do you have the list on hand?
In my head.
In your head.
Probably by design. Let's go there first. So the same people always donate, which, it's probably, you guys always donate. Samoan Solutions always donate. SCDC always donates. My family always donates. Big up to Auntie Asawiva, who also works for SCDC.
Oh, yes.
I grew up on the CDC because of my family. My aunt is Auntie Asawiva. My uncle is Setu. They're big in the community work. So
hey, there you go. They get degrees of, you know what I mean? They helped you when you're young, and now you're out helping people.
And then look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
So no, it's been great. Snappy, the gamer, she always donates as well. I forgot the Pacifica. We just talked about it. She's a doula.
Mana
Pacifica.
Mana
She donated as well. So yeah, the same people always donate. A big ups to Hawaii, who also donated. Okay, I was like telling everyone this story. I was like, how is it that Hawaii doesn't have NGOs yet? They took care of everything. Although you're part of Naopo that helped me donate the shipping. But all my friends there did everything. I didn't even have to do anything. Yeah, I did all my work in California, and I'm paying for this container.
I know. We need help with that container.
I was telling him about it. I was like, how is that go Hawaii? And everyone, like the professor at the university, Professor Dr. Tina, donated 8 laptops. Like it was nothing.
Wow.
Doris, here's 8 laptops. There you go. Yeah, and then everyone else was like, oh, Doris, don't worry. We'll figure out your shipping for you. I didn't have to worry about nothing.
Wow.
My other Italian friend, big ups to Erin Jefferson. She stored everything for a whole week. She also went and picked up the stuff. That's expensive.
Wow.
Storing in your warehouse, going pick up pallets, shipping it for you. I didn't have to worry about nothing. I come to Cali where we have 100 nonprofits. Right. And I'm still with me and my dad putting pallets together.
Funny note on, you had said your dad, I didn't know I retired to work for Brown Girl Woke.
For free.
The memory I have of your father was I was asleep in a hotel at like 4:00 in the morning. I hear, and I'm staying in a hotel because I'm flying out to Samoa the next morning. So the hotel is near the airport, and Naki, we got two beds in a room. Naki's right next to the door. So of course I'm like, well, Naki's going to figure out what that is. Your dad was bringing what was he bringing? Shirts? It was
Doris calling at 2:00 in the morning. Your dad was driving around looking for the hotel because we were headed to Samoa, and he was bringing T-shirts.
His shirts, that's what it was.
T-shirts for us to take to Doris for the kids there in Samoa.
In the middle of the night, Dad's out there,
And it was in Vacaville, right?
No, it was in San Francisco.
San Francisco,
or a
yeah.
Burlingame, or it was right across from the
Yeah.
airport. And but I was just thinking, like, what, the dedication of middle of the night, driving around looking for the hotel.
Yeah.
And but that's a tribute to you finding a way to make things happen. And we're all happy to help Neo, Poe, all your entire network. When you ring the bell, people answer because we know you're doing. We don't have to ask. Really? Do they need water? Like what? Let me validate that before.
Carl's face is like, who's asking this question?
Give me that name. Give me that name.
You look so irritated.
That's so what work people do. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just I deal with it so much that it's just like I just answer.
Yeah,
it just
it's
makes it funny
irritating
to me. But yeah, you do have your community, and when I come back home, it's so easy. Like, oh, here we're gonna do this all together. And we were talking about it. Like, we grew up in church, but we don't understand that we learn all of that from like our Samoan community. Not only church, but our Samoan community. Period. We always give so much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know how to balance it.
Right. We give too much.
We give too much. And then we wonder why.
The idea of cooperation, man. I got a friend who's a sports agent in the NFL. Dude named Henry Organ. He signed Kendrick Bourne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's one of his players. And shout out to Henry Organ, man. Love you, man. He went to college, played ball with some Samoans, and whenever he went to any of the Five Lavas or any Samoan events, he would always trip out about how everybody knew how to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at a wedding or like at church, after church is done, everybody's going to the kitchen, let all the food. Like, he was just watching like, yo, how does everybody know where to go? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Everybody's putting the money in. What's that for? Always asking questions like, yo, what are these? What are these formalities for? And then he was just always tripping out. He's like, yo, dude, you guys operate like a nonprofit every Sunday.
You're feeding the community.
Yeah, like, you're feeding 60 to 80 people. Like you know what I mean? Like it's a routine. You know how to do it. He's like, dude, y'all got to put this energy into something else, man. He's like, you guys already know what you're doing.
Right.
Because then he saw what happens at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
All the Samoa stuff that happens between both families.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, you guys are exchanging resources and then allocating them to different families from the different families. All that money is going to different. Yo, dude, do you know what's going on? And I was
how valuable that is?
Right. And I was telling him, it's normal to me, right? We always see these vows being done. And then he was just looking at me like, do you really understand what's going on? And I was like, I never looked at it like that, man.
It's so true. He's wording it in a different way.
Right.
Yeah.
And
right.
I never
where
looked
you're
at
like,
it that way.
I've never seen it. That's
And
right.
some of us
We
take
are.
it for granted. Like, I used to hate going to funerals and things like that just because we had to go there a long time and all this kind of stuff, right? And I remember my dad looked at me and he said, do you do this every day? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when are you going to see your culture?
Right.
So don't pick and choose. Like, when you go to something like this, take advantage of it because you're going to go back to being, the American girl Monday through Friday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
I was like, okay, never mind. Let me go.
I know. Let me go cut you this sewer real quick.
Let me go get yelled at for no reason. No one taught me, but let me get yelled at.
Right. Exactly. That's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
Get over here, cut you this sewer.
Sink
But I
or
don't.
swim. Right.
Don't smile. Put your hair up. Yeah.
That's what I told my girl cousins. I remember coming back home and they were getting yelled at and they looked so mad. And I remember being like them. And they were like, we always get in trouble like they taught us. I said, just learn that this is the way it is. And
this is the way you're taught.
Take advantage of knowing it. Because I used to be like that. And then when I went to another Samoan family that didn't know how to do anything and I was teaching them, I was on top of the world that I could teach.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me.
Right.
But when you're in that little thing, in that, you're like getting yelled at all the time. Like, why am I learning this? Until you finally got to teach somebody else and you're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. That's
step back from it.
Yeah.
Yes. Step back. That's how my girls learned too. When we went to Fall Out Lovers on my husband's side, they would get yelled at, get in line, go, carry hands higher. And they would get, this auntie yelled at me. I was like, hey man, that's how you learn. You want me to say something? Yeah. That's how you learn. That's how you learn.
2 boxes of crackers, 3 apple pea soup, man. We told you earlier.
Yeah.
I just got here. You told the other girl.
Right. But then so instilling all that into my kids, they were learning. But when we go to other family functions and there's people people their age that don't know how to do it and they have to jump in. I'm so proud. And it makes them, but then they're like, what do you mean you don't know how to cut you? So, you know, I'm like, you got slapped around,
Okay.
you know, that's how you learn. But
we were remember we were at a wedding and somehow it was Neki ended up cutting the wedding cake. And so I go over there because, you know,
I was a guest.
I'm trying to help because there's nobody, you know, so I'm trying to get the plate over there. And Neki goes, where are the kids? And I look and there's like 3 kids lined up over there. I go, okay, fine. You know, I guess the kids. So I turn around, I give the first one to the kid. The kid grabs a fork, walks off and starts eating it.
And I was like, hey, get that over here.
That
I thought Neki was going to
generation
snap.
of entitlement.
That's the gap you got to bridge, though. You know,
yes, exactly.
You got to teach them right then and there, like, hey, go give it to all the old folks.
Oh, the adults first.
I thought Neki was going to snap. Where are those kids? Oh, they're right here.
I know. I was like, what is going on here?
That's so
but
funny, man. Thanks for the cake, girl.
I know. We got gifts from Doris.
Oh, yes.
And Levasa Island Apparel. Thank you so much. There you go. And your t-shirt, you picked the right colors, the Giants colors. There you go.
I wasn't sure if it was East Bay or the city by the bay, and he got it right.
That's awesome.
Now, I love that Irae always shows up with his gear. Like when we had him on the show,
there was gear
he
behind
had hanging
us.
clothes.
That's awesome.
I was like, look at that.
Look
the
at that
entrepreneur knows he's going
right.
to take advantage of the moment. And then when he walked in today, I was like, awesome. Same thing.
It's funny, the last time I was watching him on the show and he was talking about a podcast, and now he
has to tell us about your podcast, why it started, how it started. Tell us everything.
No, yeah, man. There was just before that setup, the first interview I did with you guys, it was super funny, man. Like it was just in my garage, you know, and I didn't want it to look as ghetto as it is, you know. So, it was just me and my brother like moving stuff around, like, hey, all right, we got these racks. Put it back there. Oh my gosh, you look like you're in the store now.
Yeah.
And he's like, put it on the racks, man. Separate them, dude. Like, fold it out. But yeah, the podcast idea happened when you asked me, like, do you do podcasts? And then in my head, I always had the equipment, and then I never really pursued the idea because I was always working up there in Portland, right? Like me and my friends always talked about it. But yeah, after that first interview, it was just Maluseu Lance. Shout out to Lance Falatonga. He hit me right after the interview. He was like, all right, man, we're gonna do a sports podcast. You know what I mean? South Pacific lens.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna look at sports. Anybody who's PI, who's a fan of sports, any sports that broadens the range, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just that after that first interview, seeing you guys, you know what I mean, do the interview, seeing you guys do past interviews, and then talking with you guys about it, you guys sparked the flame. You know what I mean? So like now we're trying to approach it with that sort of grind, that work ethic. You know, because we've seen you guys set the example. You know, so yeah, thank you for that inspiration, man. We're trying to develop it, but yeah, you know what I mean.
We try to do our show as bad as possible, so everybody will think, hey, we could do what they do. We always joke around that if you want to learn how to do a podcast, don't watch us.
Yeah.
Because we have no formal training other than, we don't have any formal training at all with communications, but it's that entrepreneurial, like, you know, Neki and I would spend hours in the car driving around talking about, and we'd talk nonstop. Like the car, we'd be in a 3-hour drive and we'd talk the whole time. And then Neki's like, or I go, we should probably start a show, like get this stuff on, I don't know, like just talk on, you know, into a microphone or something. And we didn't know what we're doing. We still don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it. And,
Amen.
you know, if that, you know, helps inspire people. But I thought, you know, your voice, the way you hold yourself, I just assumed that you were doing some kind of broadcasting, like some kind of communications. That's why I asked.
And where can people find you if they want to check you out?
You can look up Levasa Sports on SoundCloud. We just got put on the Apple.
Nice.
Apple Podcast.
Boy, that's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, we're still building it, getting off the ground, but it's all about just looking at sports through a South Pacific lens.
Yes.
You know, anybody Pacific Islander involved with sports. I was talking with two on the way here. It's just one thing I want to build up the business for is to do community work. Because I was just asking her about all the red tape that she experiences out here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that she is circumventing by just being out there in Samoa, right? I want to circumvent that tape by just making as much money as I can to give it away. just so I can show people like, yo, like money is, you know what I mean? Like, don't make money the one thing you want to do. Like, I want to make all the money in the world just to give it away, do some community work, and just, you know, don't let that be the thing you live or die for, you know?
Right. Because there's no money in nonprofit.
Yeah.
There is no money in nonprofit.
There's the thing is that Naki and I have always found in our journey, both business and, you know, communications, our broadcast, everything has been, the more we help people get what they want, the quicker we get things that we want. So when we started like, well, how can we help PI businesses? Well, we can bring them on the show and let them show their stuff, or we can have them on. How can we help Doris? How can we help Brown Girl Woke? All those kind of things. Like, how do we help other people get what they want? And then, you know, the things that we wanted, we'd talk about, oh, we need our own studio. We help more people get what they wanted, and then we end up getting in our own studio. So that's what we found works for us. And it sounds like your whole thing is that, like, you're trying to help other people get what they want.
Man, it's all about love and light, man. That's the wave.
Right.
Things will happen.
So besides the water cooler or the water
tank,
water cooler. Okay. Had a little bit too much alcohol this weekend. Besides the water tank, what other program? I know that you have, you're working with the youth.
So me and Irae, it's like we had the same journey. We both were AmeriCorps in college. If you guys don't know what that is, they give you a stipend or a scholarship to also go to university. So that was another funding for us, both of us, even though we're like 10 years apart. But we still have the same journey. So I wanted to have the same idea in Samoa, where I don't think I would have done a lot of community work if it wasn't for AmeriCorps.
Wow.
Because they were financing my scholarships, even the Asian Pacific Islander scholarships as well. That's how I started doing Pacific Islander conferences at the university, because they were funding me to do stuff for PIs.
Right.
And, you know, we see the fight with like trying to separate each other, them trying to, you know, use us as the token, whatever. But it did give me funding to make PI spaces.
Right.
So, you know, whatever. So with that same idea, I wanted to bring it back to Samoa, where I paid, because I knew for myself, my parents would never let me do volunteer work if I wasn't getting paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's like maybe a brown, black minority group mentality, because, you know, you just don't do free if you can't be, if you're not getting fed at home, what you doing over there doing things for free? Right. So I brought the same idea to Samoa, where we could give scholarships to kids to do community work, where the parents were okay and the kids were giving back. So that's what has been happening. So all these humanitarian aid projects we do is with the youth. They go and do it. They also, a lot, just like me, I remember in high school, I told my dad, I'm going to go to Africa and I'm going to help with the epidemic and the pandemic. He's like, meanwhile in Samoa, I was like, oh, I thought Samoa was okay as an island, you know, being 17 and young and not even thinking like that. So the same idea with the Samoan kids there. Sometimes we don't know what's happening in our backyard. Right. We just want to get out. Right. Like, this is not enough for me. I want to get out. I've been here too long. I want to get out of the community. We see that with the Samoan youth here in California, not with getting out of the country, but getting out of the churches. Right. I'm speaking at a few churches. I'm leaving in 3 weeks, but I'm speaking like at 4 churches before I leave, talking about this. Like, why are we losing our youth, our Samoan youth in Samoan churches? But it's the same mentality. If you think about it in Samoa, they just want to get out. It's not enough. Right. You're under your parents. You never could do anything. You get, you know what I mean? There's so many things against you, but if you get out, I'm gonna be free. Right. But you don't know you're free. But what's happening back home? Right. With the other youth and the other kids that are not free. We got to try to have that mentality to come back and find ways that stopped us, that won't stop them, in a way that it's not going to be a bad thing to leave, and you come back and give back. Right. Like you said about how people didn't want, like, the Asian community, them to leave because they're going to learn more. Right. But hopefully they come back. See, we don't have that idea. We have, they're going to learn more and never come back. Learn more and come back to the community. So that's my biggest project, is to do some type of AmeriCorps in Samoa, where I get scholarships to fund kids to do this work and understand what's happening. And then even if they just live in Samoa and they're going to be leaders one day, because I have a lot of university students, they're going to be in the government. You don't want kids that are running the government that never even done work, the groundwork. Right. How do they know what's really needed? Like, what is poverty? What is the face of poverty in Samoa? Right. If you're only taught only heard about when it's literally your backyard.
Right.
So
hey, that sounds like somebody's Congress.
Yeah.
How many of you have had real jobs?
Yeah, really.
Very few.
Yeah. How many of you have done volunteer work, real activism work? So that's my biggest project, is always doing that. All these other things that come with it, like the water tank project, that was them looking at what do we need to change this?
Yeah.
We need things that are sustainable, that develop like decades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Long-term goals. The water tank is long-term. I could do groceries for so long. I think with groceries, I now have a food bank.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I did the grocery project for the last 2 years, I knew that there was going to be something that was, longevity, something bigger than that. Now I have a food bank at my office, which is going to, again, be another 10-year project.
Right.
We need to look at things for the long run, not the short run.
Not just right now.
Yeah. And even for me, like, people are always like, oh, you come from America, you don't understand. I was like, I'm still Samoan. My parents still came with that mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here and I'm helping.
Yeah. But they came with that same mentality, like, just for right now. So when I'm in Samoa, I don't feel like, oh, I'm American, I don't understand. I do understand. Like, I grew up, you're my people, you're my community.
Right.
We have the same thing going on. So just looking at it, all my projects will be bigger. We just got a huge grant for the next 3 years. Big ups to International Women Agency in Australia. They'll be funding me almost $100,000 a year for the next 3 years.
Nice.
For salary and overhead, which is something that I never get. I usually get. So all my projects are funded, but I never get funding for salaries.
Yeah,
so
funding's for programming.
So awesome.
Yeah, sometimes we go outside of that.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, this is the best part of it. Now I have salary. Now I have overhead, which is something is hard to get as a grant to do that, because you never get that. So when I go back home, that's the first thing I'm going to be taking care of.
That's awesome.
How did you end up getting hooked up with them, an Australian company?
The crazy part is all my other grants I had to apply for it. This grant is because people have seen my work in Fiji.
Nice.
So they were doing a coalition for Pacific feminists, and like they had all these other islands, Vanuatu, Tonga, Fiji, Solomon's, PNG. We're all together. And then they messaged me because I've been at UN and doing all this stuff, and they've seen me. They're like, Doris, we've seen your work. We want you to apply. And then that's how I got in from doing it for so long. And the sacrifice is there. Yeah. You just have to stay in your lane, know what you want.
Stay in your lane.
Don't sway.
I remember reading that as a saying on, like a motivational saying is, find what you do that you love and do it so well that other people have to take notice. And that's what's happening. Like, you're doing what you do so well that this isn't the point that you're still funding, what I mean? You're still sourcing funds and those kind of things, but now people are beginning to notice that you aren't even, waving it and saying, hey, look at me. They're actually seeing the work that you're doing and things are happening for you. That's got to be an exciting time when you get a phone call from somebody that you've never approached, you've never sent a letter to, you've never spoken to anybody over there, and they just say, wow, I see the positive things that you're doing.
Yeah, no, it always like, because community activists don't get the same as PI, like athletes or musicians, we don't get the same love. But I feel like I've broken that glass, because everywhere I go, everyone's like, Doris, I'm a big fan. I'm like, oh, okay. And in my mind, I only like it because I want us to be as glorified as musicians or athletes, because we do a lot of work, and just making them understand that, like, oh, thank you for knowing who I am. So but I'm always so into my work. Like, when I get out, I'm like, oh, people know brown girl woke. Okay.
Of course. Are you still, because there's some people on here that have baby clothes. Are you still collecting donations, or is it too late?
For this one. So we might open up another one, because I ordered all this stuff in Amazon. It didn't come. My Prime, my Amazon Prime didn't come through. Yeah. So we might do a next one next month. So we'll see. Okay. I do need the material, so we might do it.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll let you know. You have to hit up Doris on social media. If she's going to start another donation, or what is it, crate, then we'll post and let you know how to get a hold of us. Or get a hold of.
I always do a flyer to tell people when to give.
And are you looking for the shipping costs now?
Yeah, I'm looking for the shipping cost. So,
and how much is it?
COVID. Everyone blames COVID. Well, COVID, that's why everything's up. I'm like, you know what?
I know.
So it's $2,500. This is the biggest it's ever been, and I've been doing this for so long.
I know.
I was like, I've never paid over $1,400.
Wow.
But of course, because of COVID and this and that,
they're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, I should have sat there and like made sure how much things were beforehand. Right. So so far we got 300, which is great. Usually I make it.
Yeah.
You know, God like sees it. Like God.
We got time. We got time.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep on promoting it every day just to get as much as. So
if you want to donate, they're gonna reach you on social media.
Yeah, reach me on social media. You just donate to browngirlwoke.co on our website. It's browngirlwoke.co/donate, and you could donate through there.
Awesome. We'll post that also on our social media. Mena, did you get that? Awesome. So she'll pop that up for you. What do you have next? What's going on next? Just trying to get your freight to Samoa?
Yeah, just trying to get my freight to Samoa. Again, big ups to Naupo that helped me with the freight in Hawaii. We had more pallets donated, so I don't know how much that one is. It was $650. Now it's probably like $2,000, so I'll probably see another email from me. Right. But I'll be in LA next weekend. I'm gonna go see the boys at Island Block.
Nice.
Yeah, Joe and Q were mentors to me when I was in college doing the work.
Island City.
Yeah, they were also community activists before they did
the
work.
Yes.
Irae also has a background in doing community work.
Nice.
We were just talking. I was like, I didn't hear you talk about you used to do poetry slam with the kids at continuation schools and
No, it was.
It's the big sister issue. When I was watching his video, I was like, he didn't say this, he didn't say that. Because I was telling him about his brand. I'm like, the biggest part of your brand is telling them the story. Like Brown Girl Woke gets sold out all the time because they know the money is going to this or they know what it's about.
Right.
For his brand, he's been doing so much work that he doesn't know how to yet promote it. You know, he's like,
I think that's the hard part for PIs, right? The humility.
Yeah, the humility.
I don't want to talk about myself and my organization.
Especially when you think like, man, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, why do I gotta say it? Like, that's what.
But people gotta know your message and your story.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people talk to Naki and I about like, the cancer journey or how you guys started or those kind of things. Those are stories we tell over and over and over. Not just so people know it, but as part of them buying into, us and wanting to tune in to see like what silliness did we do this week or how did that turn out from last week. So part of the, the humility is something that entrepreneurs, Pacific Islanders they can have a difficult time with, kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And you're afraid that people are going to be like, oh, look at you talking,
about yourself. Yeah. I think that's why it's good to be with other community groups. Because when they talk about themselves, you're just like, okay, I need to be at that level. That's why they're here, because they can promote themselves better. But we had to do that same idea.
Yeah. And you sell yourself. I mean, people really, that's why somebody's good. If you're good at selling houses, people buy houses because they believe in, the person that's selling to them. People that buy cars, same thing. Like they're buying a car because the salesperson is selling themselves and, making it a good experience. You're not selling cars or houses or any of those kind of things. But when you're, we want to get everybody involved and buy into the movement or the project, they're going to buy into you.
Amen. Yeah, man, I'm just trying to soak up all the game too. The humility thing is hard, right? Because I'd rather be busy getting busy. You know what I mean?
Right.
With the work, right? So like interpersonally, when I'm talking with people, I'm always like, yo, like, well, what are your passions, right? Or like, what drives you? And I was working as a bouncer, working for like Top Flight Security up in Portland. Shout out to Timo Portisano. But it's just that role was super funny, man, because I'd be at the door checking IDs, patting people down, checking purses, and just like at the door, just like, man, like, what do I asking deeper questions, you know what I mean? And like the crew I always worked with were like, we gotta go kick somebody out right now. And I was like, all right. Time and place, man. But the community work is so funny because like seeing Tutu hit the ground running as soon as she got here, is something that's always pushing me. You know what I mean? Don't be scared to talk, be out there, because I got a mouthpiece when it comes to getting sales, but as far as like building a brand, doing community work, reaching out to people, I don't know any of that. You know what I mean? I could be in the best room for it, and like I might be talking like it, but like I'm really just trying to learn as much as I can, get the best advantage in any situation. So yeah, that's my personal strength with community work. But I think I've learned a lot of things just by going up to the people who are doing it and like, how do I do what you do, man? Because when I was telling Tu on the way here, It's just the way I first got into volunteering at the high school in Forest Grove, where Pacific University is. I was going to work and I going to classes. And I was super bored. I didn't feel fulfilled, you know what I mean? And so I went to the civic engagement office, talked to the lady, Stephanie Stokemer, and I was like, yo, how do I get involved in community work? I have background in creative writing, poetry. My mother taught me how to speak well since I was a child, like had me reading Hooked on Phonics. Hated it as a child, man, but like,
we had an encyclopedia in our closet. I swear we're the only family that had.
No, I did Hooked on Phonics with my kids too. They hated me.
Man, dude, but like now it helps me speak well, read well, write well. You know.
Yes.
So, it's even now like my mother is always trying to like correct me the way I talk, whether it be Samoan or just English, how is something worded properly. But I went to the civic engagement office and I was like, man, how do I do this work? The lady told me to go to this lady who runs a continuation school in Forest Grove. It's called CALC. It's a Community Alternative Learning Center.
Nice.
And that building was super funny. It was just the front building of the bus depot. So the local school district, that's where they park their buses at the end of the day.
Wow.
And it wasn't even a school. It was just it was 2 rooms just for like office intake, as far as stuff. And then the rest of it was just a warehouse. And so like they makeshifted these classrooms at Calc to house these kids, while learning. And it was super crowded. There was only like, imagine 3 rooms, this size. And they're trying to make, different classes for kids in different subjects. Mm-hmm. And I walked up to the lady, never met me before. I didn't like hit her with an email. They just saw a big Samoan dude like walking, sweaty because the thing was like a mile in the way. so I'm just like walking in there, trudging in. They're like, "Excuse me, can we help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to help." I was like, "Yeah, I'm really passionate about community work. Man, this place is really far." And like, Jessica Pierce. She was my mentor out there as far as the, doing the community work. She was always telling me to get into the role of being a mentor, an educator. And me, I was always saying like, nah, I got to do more things in life. I gotta go make all the mistakes I can. Cause like, what would I teach other kids about if I haven't done anything myself? Right.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, I understand that feeling, but the earlier you get involved in it, the better you're going to be, man. Like just trust and believe. And like, she's a poet herself. And so she let me go there. Like, our junior, senior year, I was volunteering my time. Like I would get out of class, you know what I mean? At like 11:30, and I would just go walk to the school. People would be like, "Hey, Irae, where you going?" I was like, "Man, just nothing, man. I'm gonna go do something." You know what I mean? And people didn't know I was doing a bunch of community work until I graduated and did my senior project. And I like showed them some clips of me working with kids, either helping them with their essays, their writing, or just workshopping some poems that they did creatively. And they were like, dude, how come you don't tell nobody about this, man? And then I was like, man, I don't know. I was just really focused on doing the work. And people were always tripping like, yo, how do you know so many people? Because the people who live in Forest Grove, you can tell if they went to the college or they're people from there. But people were always tripping out like, yo, Irae, how do you know people that actually live here? And I was like, oh, man, I know, that's this lady's daughter.
I do more things than you see here.
Yeah, right.
And like people were always funny, like, yo, how does everybody know you, man? And I was like, I don't know. I'm out and about, man.
I'm gonna cut into your story. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember he was calling me and like one of his professors were promoting him to go and apply to Harvard. Do you remember?
Yeah, Jessica Pierce.
Yeah, so he was like, dang, who'd have thought? I said, man, it's just that we were pushed to go college, but we didn't even think of the bigger picture.
Right.
We could have been there.
Right.
But we're just trying to get to state college, blah, blah, blah. But man, to think that I was like, do it for us. Do it that we have this opportunity. Because he called me, he's like, I can't believe she wants me to do this. I'm like, are you serious? You're the most brilliant person I know.
Of course,
and it was just filling out an
it.
application. Like I didn't even get accepted. You know what I mean? Because I got to do more. It's the Harvard grad school education.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I was just super nervous of filling an application out, man. Like just I don't know why that fear was so prevalent.
It's probably because you never thought about that. It's not a perception or something that you would even conceive of. So then they're like, well, here, we're talking Harvard. And then like, whoa, that's not something that, I ever talked about. Dr. Fa'aleava talked about that when he was teaching. He was at kids school. He was at elementary schools in 2 different areas. One was in the inner city in San Jose, and one was in Davis. And the one in inner city, different conversations, completely different conversations. The one in Davis, the kids were wearing like Stanford shirts and Berkeley shirts. They're wearing sweatshirts of college, and they expected to go. Those are the conversations that they've been having. Is like already. Which type of college, which Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever level of college, and it was just different conversations that were happening.
You realize that in this, like from my church, we didn't have anyone that went to jail or nothing like that, but because we grew up very religious, Samoa, that it was only about that, like. What are you gonna do when you do your Samoan? You're
gonna go to Kananafo or Malua and become a
Faika. When I went to grad school in Sacramento and worked with the schools there that had the highest dropout rates for PIs, there were conversations about all their family members being in prison.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And we just, as a PI community, we need to. It hasn't changed.
Right.
We need to change the narrative.
Yeah, we need to change the narrative and do more work in those places, in church,
right,
in the prison system. You know what I mean? Because if this is what the kids are thinking about or know about, I used to always ask the kids in Sacramento, because I did most of my work there, what do they want to, when we would have mentors come in or speakers come in. And I think even Irae at the time, because he was in high school, had the same kind of concept, like, I want to hear about someone that went to jail and then made it and made billions. You know what I mean? Those kind of stuff. Like, why can't we just
start making the millions? Right?
Or no, why can't we just meet someone that went to university or like that made it like that? Why does it have to go from zero, from the rock, bottom?
Right.
But when you live in the struggle, you only want to hear about the struggle,
and the success from the struggle.
Yeah. But our parents struggled enough.
Right.
They struggled enough for us. Like my parents struggled enough for me to be where I'm at now.
Exactly.
And they're super proud of me, and I'm glad for that. Irae, same thing. We just got to keep it going.
Right. That's so true.
Well, so here's the reason that I had said it on the original show. Do you do a podcast? Is because I think because you're well spoken and because poets and rappers, I don't like getting any kind of confrontational conversation with them. Her son's one of them. It's like they express themselves so quickly and so well. It's like when I hear people, she's always talking about like her husband and Mac getting into it and start capping on each other. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that with somebody who freestyle raps, somebody who writes poetry or those kind of things.
Yeah, your son is Mac.
Mac Moley, aka
I grew up
Mac
being
Moley.
a fan of his battle raps.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
man.
So
as my daughter laughs,
siblings be the first one.
So when I hear people are arguing with him, I'm like, nah, no thanks. I pick somebody else. But the point was that you are well spoken. I'm sure you're going to do fine with that. Thank you for coming on, and especially thank you for taking advantage of the moment and wearing your gear.
Yes.
Man.
Do you have his website up, Mena? Thank you,
Doris. You were our first interview.
Yeah.
Really?
First interview.
And Doris was my first interview. I've never interviewed in my whole life, and Doris was the first one that I interviewed.
So cool.
Yes, awesome.
And it's so funny because remember when we were laughing
and Mena
was like,
I didn't say go.
I still remember
that's right.
Yeah.
They were full going all the way through the first question,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, now I'm dropping the daughter hat.
Yeah.
And I'm putting on the producer hat.
I think we had a phone, or was it? I don't know. We started like with a phone and
we had a handheld microphone that was a recorder,
right?
And that died, and I was freaking out. And Mena was like, "Don't worry about it. We use the mic on the camera or something." But anyway, that's how far allowing us to interview you at the very beginning. I think we were in South San Francisco. And Naki's first interview, our first interview is probably by design, to have you here and still seeing you do, even more amazing stuff.
That's so cool, man.
Does it feel like 20 years ago? Yeah.
It's long. It was like 2017.
Yeah. So, that's crazy. But yeah, we're so proud of the work that you're doing, Doris, and the work that you continue to do and the people that you're touching. It's like we said, it's a ripple effect. So, and you'll never hear of the stories, but just know that you're doing amazing and that you're blessed a million times over because of the work that you're doing.
I know. I'm just blessed by you guys. I always make sure. I mean, you guys know internet sucks in Samoa, but when I see it, I'm like, love you guys. I'm trying to get in there because that's like $1.
The work that you're doing too, your podcast. I listen. I'm a fan. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You guys
Thank you so much. Really. And your entrepreneurship is amazing. Your site is blowing up, and you're everywhere. I see you're at doing pop-ups, so that's awesome that you're getting out there. Thank you so much. Thank you to both of you for coming in. Just real quick, shout out your IG or how people can get a hold of you.
Yes. So again, you could find me. My personal page is like a personal /Brown Girl Woke page. Doris Tulifau or Brown Girl Woke on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, our website www.browngirlwoke.co.
You can find me at Lavasa on IG, LE_Vasa. The website's lavassaislandapparel.com. You can catch me at probably your local pop-up, man. I'm trying to hit each and every one of them.
Awesome.
Might be at the pop-up with Brown Girl Work.
Yeah.
What's up?
As events start opening back up, that's going to be really good for
you're gonna be
a lot
really
of
busy,
Pacifica businesses.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're all done, Minna.
We got a video to show, and then we're going to head on out.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for coming down. Yep.
Yay. Whew.
It's coming.
It's because everyone 12 and older is now eligible for a vaccine. Kavika then found a vaccine location for his sister. His sister sent an appointment link to her best friend, who reminded her business partner, who then, well, you get the idea. And it all started today with Kavika. Tomorrow, it can start with you. It's time to let our friends and family know that vaccines prevent nearly 100% of hospitalizations and deaths from COVID. We can do this.